All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. Hope you guys enjoyed your weekend. Today's episode, I wanted to go over letting go of regret. Excuse me. So, I know that it's much harder for some people than others. I know that some people can just, like, in a snap, they just completely forget about it. You're good, they move on, and that's it. And they just give that person or forgive themselves for being in that situation, and that's it. Um, and I know some people hold on to it. They hold on to the regret that they felt when they made a bad decision. The regret that they felt when they should have done something and they didn't. Uh, it's it's not easy. For the longest time, I was holding on to this part of my life that I thought was always going to be like that. Coming out of construction, I went to do sales, and I was that was the biggest regret that I have in my life because I felt like that was the one thing that ruined my no, that was trying to ruin my marriage, and turns out it was me. I was mad at the job when I should have been mad at myself for my actions and what I did. And it took me a long time to understand that it's not it was something that needed to happen for me to build my character, but also it was something that I should have been more grown and understanding and noticed the signs up front. I was very into making money. And like the Bible says, money is the root of all evil. It was that thirst for making money that got me to where I was at. Because, like they say, when you fall for one temptation, you fall for the next and the next and the next. And it always takes just one little one. And it got me. It was the I felt like I regretted it so much because it was just I did that and then I left and then I went back. Like it didn't make sense. And I regretted going back even more. And I kept telling myself it's why am I doing this to myself? Like why did I do this? Why did this happen to me? Why did this? Why did that? Like I just kept complaining and complaining and complaining. And it wasn't worth it. It messed me up more in the head to keep thinking about what I should have done in that situation, how life could have been, how further along I would have been, and realizing that the day that I realized that I had to let go of that regret was the day that I felt like a weight was lifted off my shoulders, that I was able to think more clearly. I was able to actually learn from that experience and not just keep blaming that for a reason why it wasn't okay. And it was a very difficult time in my life where it was a very difficult time in my life where I would use any excuse to make anyone else unhappy. I held on to it for so long that it ate me up inside, and you can tell. I'm one of those people that shows my emotion, and I should have learned to just move on and stop living in the past. It was it I feel like everything that I did in that part of my life was a waste of time. Like have you like I don't know if anyone's ever been through that, but they've been in a relationship for years and years, and they look back and they're like, and then they don't end up being married and having a family, and they realize, wow, I just wasted 5 years of my life on someone who Like I didn't even get married with, and now I have to start over. And they use that as a pain point for future relationships. And that's what I was doing. I was using my regret for reasons of why I was acting the way that I was acting. And I heard a lot of people, and it was not worth it. It made things hard to move on from. And it took some time, but it it took me coming to my final point of not wanting to be here anymore for me to realize that I need to just let it go. Okay, continuing where I left off. Um, Now that there are still some mistakes that I make in my life, but that's after I've already given it a thought about where or what I should be doing. Now, it's not the easiest because, I mean, gosh, even if you keep telling yourself you're doing good and all of a sudden you're not, or you mess up still, it gets to you. But at least I have more knowledge than I did before. And taking that into account of what was going on, much better than just going through the motions and hopefully one day I'll be better, right? There's a lot of things that I did on top of that growing up. I also, as soon as I started working more and got my first car, I tried to find my a new place right away so I can move out. I regretted that. I should have stayed with my mom more. I should have stayed with my brother and sister more. I practically raised them. And coming back to that relationship wasn't easy, but it showed me how I should be more grateful for the things that I have too. You start realizing once you get to a certain age that it's just not worth it to hold on to all that hate because you never know when you're going to lose that person that you actually really care about and you can't live without. Yeah, I was a troubled child. I'm not gonna lie, I was bad, but I did what I had to for my mom and how I was going through life. Yeah, I regret it, but I'm here now and I have more knowledge than before, and I don't want to go back and make those mistakes. It's uh, it's a good, it's a good thing, but letting go is letting go. So you have to really think about that. I mean, imagine what's gonna happen in 5 years from now. What happens if you actually lose the person that you're holding a grudge against just because you weren't, just because you made a decision and it hurt someone? Like that's the worst. That is honestly the worst, and it'll eat you up inside. All right, guys. So, like I was talking about, letting go of regret. Whew, whew. So, not just my own experiences, but other people's experiences. It eats you up. It eats you up so much. Have you ever felt like you you're okay, and then something triggers you, and all of a sudden you bring up all these suppressed memories, and you just lose it. That's the way that regret works. Also, some people are holding on to stuff that they need to let go of. It's never healthy to hold on to regret. All it's going to do is just eat you out of life, and it's just going to keep building and get harder and harder, and then one of these days you're going to hurt someone you truly love. Like I said, I learned that the hard way, and thank God that I was able to work on myself enough to show my worthy to God, and He allowed me to have my wife again, and have my family again, and even have another child. So, part of what I'm saying, this is not just my experience. Again, take it for a grain of salt. I don't take it at all. Tell me it doesn't make any sense. That's all up to you. But I know that when I was going through something, I really wish someone would have told me, "Hey, you need to calm down. You need to slow down and think about what you're gonna do next. Are you sure that's the right decision? Who can get hurt by this?" And that's also coming from my wife's side. She has a regret for taking me back so many times, and I messed up so many times. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's my fault. I made the decisions. But if I keep worrying about that, every time I get into an argument, that's the only thing that we're going to talk about. That's the only thing that I'm going to bring up. So is it really worth fighting for all the time? Or is it really worth fighting for your relationship? Ah. All right. So to finish up this video, like I always talk about, and I always say, do not take my advice if it's something that offends you, or this is just my perspective. Regardless, I hope whoever is watching this gets something out of it. Because the last thing that I would want in my life is to lose someone just because I hurt them because of my own mistakes. It's good to be happy. I know some people wake up and choose violence. That really is what happens nowadays. But once you start letting go of that regret and beating yourself up for what happened in the past, you're never going to grow if you just keep holding on to it. So just give yourself a break and move on. Learn to be happy. Learn to learn from your mistakes. I hope whoever, like I mentioned, I hope whoever's hearing this just does get something out of it. And if not, I mean, I completely understand I wasted your time, and I'm sorry for that. But that's gonna be in the end of this video. If you guys did like, subscribe, share. If you hated it, tell me, dislike it. Tell your friends how much you hated it. uh, if you guys wanted to follow me on TikTok, again, J Duran 27, and I'll be catching you guys on the next one.